Hello people, long time no see. I have been absent for quite some time because I stopped playing Raid, but now I will be back with some of Genshin Impact. Since this is a new beginning, I decided to make text-to-speech videos to test them, as I'm watching a League YouTuber and I find his videos pretty. I believe our journey will be fantastic since I already have knowledge over the game. I played it about 2 to 3 years ago. And as we start the game, the first thing we get introduced to is a crab, because as it seems they take this game very seriously. Not a moment has passed and there is a falling star. Never mind, it's 2, and thus the 2 stars became 2 people. Then a gate opens and out comes a hot chick. Why these things don't happen in real life too, it saddens me. Obviously my woman counterpart is having questions because she wants to know everything, and after a small chat we throw ourselves in for a fight. The hottie seems like a mage that creates things like huge rocks, while our superpower seems like fairy dust and pulling swords out of our. Next thing you know, the fight scene stops because you have to choose your name, and as you will see, I'm not really good at it. After I try to comprehend what I need to do with my life, which is to click on the male or female, I waste my life away thinking how to name my video game character, as my life depends on it. Like I won't go for chaos again like I did in every other game in my life. After I finally stop looking at the female character for 45 seconds, I go to the male counterpart and act as if I don't know how to name him. In the midst of all this, all I think of is both of them being like, "Can you choose your name so we can continue the fight?" So I choose the name and I let it rip. She uses her rock to capture the female counterpart and seals her away, and all I do is stay and see. After she is done, I come to my senses, and only then I realize she indeed took her, so I swiftly went behind her to strike, but some explosions happen. Then I take a breather because flying and watching your sister get stolen take energy. Then the explosions become rocks like before and we clash, but she seems to be 150 levels higher than us, so she traps us as well. Only then I try to talk to her, but I guess it's too late for that. After the light work she did of us, it seems the game spits the plotline and how we are aliens traveling worlds, but I guess we found the better alien. At this point I must note that my editing is non-existent, so don't expect me to delete the loadings, and also many times my brain freezes, so bear with me please. I'm bad at games and even worse at creating things like good content. Anyway, after the scene changed and we showed the universe that Picasso has nothing on us. By reminiscing, creating a painting on the sand of the hot chick just to have some visualization for later tonight. We end up with a small fairy by our side, which the game will use it as our guide, which is simply the worst decision I've ever heard by a gaming company, since her voice is the worst thing that happened to planet Earth. Seems like we pulled her trying to fill our bellies with fish, like we can't just throw blasts and fly at high speeds, but we can't even find something to eat, so we resort on the worst thing, that is fishing. She tells us to head out even though we are sitting on a rock by the sea, and as my 30 years old body gets up, first thing I do, I check the movement because I don't remember anything. I quickly end up remembering the mechanics. We learn to walk and run, to beat down slimes that did nothing to us, as we follow the map and the irritating voice to a teleporter. Not regarding my tough earned victory with the slime, I quickly run though the teleporter to continue the tutorial. That has stolen 4 minutes of our life already. Then the game gives us a brief explanation of what teleporters are and how to use them, as I use myself the optimal way of running in this game, which is just dashing after passing over a lizard, and thinking if I should take it or not, while my mind is still thinking of how much work I got to do to open every teleporter, chest, monster, and everything else this game has to offer. In this game, the fairy teaches us of climbing rocks like it isn't an earned skill just by growing up. I run to where the game tells me to, while the fairy shoots out most basic knowledge world has ever known. While she shut up, I slash some trees, just to look cool, and also because I know I'm going to need later every resource I can get, because this game needs all your time. Having won my 1v1 with the tree, I grab its fruits because I'm the victor of this battle and it has to know pillaging exists in this world. I then reach the end of the cliff, and as I'm thinking if I should do it with my sword or by jumping, the fairy stops me to show me the sweet scenery. After a small pause to reflect upon our actions, we then get slapped with a quest on our face that calls us outlanders. Seems like hatred and racism has influenced gaming also. While I interrupted of course with my relentless tapping, since we aren't here for scenery but to kick some ass, waste money, and get mad at video games for our bad luck. The fairy lets me know she will take me to some sort of god that controls wind. The game tells us that we need to descend the cliff that we once ascended, while the irritating voice of our little fairy companion keep us much pleasant company that we did not ask for. Descending the cliff, we grab berries and slaughter animals just to be sure we won't ever need to fish another fairy from the sea. We continue running since that at the peak gameplay 2024 has to offer, and especially this one. 99% of Genshin quest and gameplay is reaching fast to your destination. Finally grabbing everything we can around us and listening to the fairy for so long. We are reaching the pond surrounding the statue that is supposed to be the Enmo god. After a perfect dive and a refreshing swim, we reach the statue. A cutscene comes up once again. As it seems we don't need to do much since we are too good for that, so just our touch is enough to steal the god's power, or I can better it, borrow them. After we gain the blue ball from the Enmo god, we light up, which means we can just open up the minimap. Encountering a god gives you the power to open the minimap in a game. After we close the minimap, we see immediately that we reached level 2, so lowly fairy tells us if we felt the power of God inside us. To that we nod yes shamefully. She then praises us of how insane our skills are, that we did all that just by fondling a statue. She then calls me unique, and I have to agree, since the reason I can steal powers that easy is because I'm from another world and they got another reason to be racist. Hey mom, the new kid in town stole the powers of God just by fondling the sta a little bit. Next is her small rank of the town that's deep in the view, named Mondstadt. We learn that the god that entered us is the god of Mondstadt, so that is a good place go first. After our small chat with the lowly, more slimes break the laws of the environment since they are engulfed in flames, while being on the smallest island ever. But I don't have time for them. So I quickly use both my skills that are a palm tornado and a bigger tornado than before, a throwing tornado. After putting the island that God's statue is on fire, I get my first achievement, as well as food like chicken and eggs, even though Noon seems to gave them to us. Must be God's love. Not wanting to take responsibility for being an arson I start running. And after turning to Michael Phelps for a brief moment, we are out of the pond and headed to Mondstadt. I then take a breather because playing games is too hard for me. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have been Emerald Peak on League after 14 years and only Gold Peak in Valorant after 2. But enough of my achievements, as it seems I took my breather and I'm now ready to play again. As it seems I just stood up to close the door or something, but I seems like it took me forever and more noise occurred. Even though the microphone is open and you never even heard my voice. This time I jump down the cliff, but it seems my abilities at parkour excel those of a mere mage fairy fighter. So nothing happens to me and I continue my way to Mondstadt while still looking for meat by any means possible. Trying to find food by slaughtering a squirrel led my eyes on a bigger source of meat, and I don't mean Paimon. I mean the big chicken that fell of the heaven. I tried following its track, but I found small, furry people. And of course, knowing myself between running to my next checkpoint, not wasting time staying around having to fight them, I chose wasting my time, but I tried making it as fast as possible. Then after waiting for the fire to cease, we realized we don't have that amount of patience. So we engulf ourselves on fire as well. We get to the reward chest to get much needed items because of course once again, I'm letting you know you need everything you can get in this game. Continuing our journey, I realize there is a camp ahead of us. So I asked myself, do you want to take the easy road or are you gonna be a man? So I chose the latest. I went to the camp and I got my ass beat by a red furry person. Not only that, but after that they jumped me. Using God's stolen power, I quickly put the two to rest, and then I want the cooldown for my skill for the other one. After swiftly ending their life with God's power, I went to get my reward for the massacre. Not only that, but after that I started pillaging their camp. I take my sweet time gathering every single source of meat or vegetable they had left. I even took the fruits out of their trees because why should it help people in need, if it can just stay in my pockets forever? Now I know, even if they left any kids hidden behind, I now know they won't make it through starvation. Thus, after thinking, my job here is done. I follow my way back to the next checkpoint, but before that, I have to see what this game is all about. And that because I'm old and I forgot. My mind don't have yet the power remembering gameplay from years past. So I take a quick look at my character's information. Knowing it's too early to do anything, I still act as if I can fix something, so I take my sweet time being on the character screen. Realizing I just wasted more time, I punch a tree just to feel a little bit better, and I start running towards that huge chicken again. A cutscene occurs because we have to waste our time again, and walking takes a whole eternity as Lowly Fairy talks to make it harder to get through. Then we finally run and hide behind a tree as we see something interesting. The humongous blue chicken got already attacked by feathered, non-binary people, or whatever their pronouns are. As it seems, they and the dragon are talking about stuff like if cannibalism is okay or whatever, and after not getting to an agreement, the chick roared, scaring the Enmo god inside us. Watching from afar, the wind god decided it was a good time to come outside our body, as it seems. The blue overfed chicken realized we're here and got mad. After that, it took off as well as our petrol clothing friend. And we're left back with the irritating voice of Lowly Fairy.